Hi, I'm Jennifer Johnson-Blalock, a literary agent with Liza Dawson Associates, and I'm here today to talk to you guys about Twitter. Twitter is an amazing resource and it's a powerful community, particularly in publishing. If you're not on Twitter yet, you should sign up today. But even if you're already using Twitter, today I'm going to talk about some do's and don'ts and give you some helpful hints for getting the most out of your Twitter experience. First, some Twitter do's. Number 1, follow people. Follow other writers, follow editors, follow agents like me. That's a great way to learn just by following along and reading what people have to say. You can learn about the publishing industry as a whole. You can learn more about the craft of writing. And if you're querying, you can learn about individual agents, their tastes, their likes, their dislikes. Number 2, interact with people. Make friends. That's what Twitter's for. You don't have to know someone in real life in order to respond to what they're saying online. If I tweet about something, I assume people are going to write me back. That's part of the fun. I've made some amazing friends on Twitter. Some of them I've actually met in person just in the last month. Twitter do number 3, add to the conversation. Talk about what you're working on. Share an interesting article that you've read. If someone's asking a question or looking for a resource and you have the answer, share it. Number 4, have a personality. I use Twitter mainly for professional purposes, but I also tweet about The Bachelor and bad dates I've been on and weird things I see around the city. You don't have to be a working robot. You're allowed to have some fun with it. The last Twitter do, number 5, use what you learn. Particularly for querying writers. When you send me a query, you should mention a relevant tweet that you liked or an interaction that we had. That's a great way to get my attention and to make your query letter stand out. Now some don'ts. Twitter don't number 1. Don't pitch on Twitter or expect agents to answer your questions. That's not why we're there. There will be specific times on Twitter when you can do those things. I'll talk more about those in a moment. But in general, if you pitch an agent your book on Twitter or you start asking them questions out of the blue, they'll just ignore you. Number 2, don't be weird, don't be creepy. This is just good advice for life. But on Twitter, I don't like it when writers like everything that I tweet or comment on everything I tweet when I'm considering their work, or when they comment a lot when I'm considering and then disappear when I pass, particularly if they come back into my Twitter feed once I'm looking at a second work of theirs or a revision. And don't be inappropriate. That should go without saying. Basically, just interact with me like I'm any other human, because I am. Don't number 3, don't play the follow, unfollow, refollow game. I get a notification when someone follows me, and I notice if you're doing that. That's just another way to be weird. Last Twitter don't, number 4, don't be a self-promotion monster. Twitter's best when it's a dialogue. If you're always tweeting only about your work or trying to get people to buy your book and not talking about books that other people have written or engaging with what other people have to say, then people will notice and they won't want to follow you anymore. Now that we've covered some do's and don'ts, let's talk about hashtags. Those are a great way to interact with the publishing community and to find your people. First, some general writing hashtags. So writers, am writing, am editing, those are pretty self-explanatory. You can use those as a way to talk about what you're working on so that people can find you, and also they're a great way to find other writers. CP match, that is a hashtag that people use to find critique partners. You should be using critique partners before you query me, and this is one way that you can find the right person to work with. Then there are advice hashtags. Write tip, pub tip, query tip. These are all used by agents, editors, and other writers to give advice based on their own experiences. Then the hashtag AskAgent is used by agents to set up a specific time when you can ask all of those questions. A lot of times agents will announce in advance that they're going to have an Ask Agent session at a particular time, or sometimes they'll just do one spontaneously when they're on a long train ride or waiting for a plane. But that's the time when you can tweet at the agent using the hashtag, and you can ask those questions that you wanted to ask before. Or you can just follow along and learn some more about publishing. Then there are hashtags that agents use. Agent Life is a general hashtag that we use when we're just talking about what we're working on. It's a good way to get a little insight into our day. Then there's 10 queries and the variations like 500 queries and query lunch. Those help you get a little peek into agents' inboxes. They go through and talk about what worked or didn't work in various queries and why they passed or requested. MSWL stands for Manuscript Wishlist, and I think it's one of the most powerful tools on Twitter. Agents are talking about exactly what they're looking for, so you can see if your manuscript would be a good fit. There are specific manuscript wishlist days where agents are encouraged to go on and talk about what they want. And there's also a website, manuscriptwishlist.com, where you can go and read different profiles to find the right agent for you. Editors who accept direct submissions will also use this hashtag to talk about what they'd like to see. Another agent hashtag, if you'll allow me a little bit of self-promotion here, is QueryWin. This is a new hashtag that I started about a month ago, and it's just the good side of 10 queries. I heard from some people, including one of my clients, that sometimes writers can be upset by what agents are talking about on 10 queries or query tip when they know that an agent is talking about them. So QueryWin is just the success stories if you need a little shot of positivity in your day. Then there are Twitter pitching events. So these are times when, yes, you can pitch your book on Twitter on specific days using these hashtags. PitMad happens several times a year. You tweet pitches of your work on the designated day, and agents can come favorite if we're interested in seeing more. DB Pit is actually happening today for the second time ever. It's a wonderful event that's focused on diverse stories. Related to DB Pit is the hashtag Own Voices. It's not a contest in and of itself, but it's a hashtag where people are talking about diversity and about people writing their own stories, and it's a great place to go and learn about this important thing. Then a new Twitter pitching event, Pit Dark, is going to be happening again soon for the second time, and that's for horror and those dark, creepy suspense stories, that sort of thing. So these are another opportunity beyond querying to help you find an agent. Finally, there are a few contests that don't actually take place on Twitter, but people talk about them on Twitter, and you can find wonderful advice there. Even if you're not participating in the contest itself, there's still some really good information. And also, you can look on these hashtags to find people that you should be following. So Pitch Wars is a huge contest that happens every year. Pitch Slam is another big one. And then P2P16. These are all hashtags that you should have on your radar and contests that you should think about entering. So that's all I have for you. I hope you find this useful. I'm at Johnson-Blalock on Twitter. Come follow me.